to Fuse Future Black History Let's Talk. I'm your host, Tatyana Jenene. A new decade is here, and I have gathered a group of amazing women to talk about Blackness and Black History 2020 and beyond.
I'm Amber Corinne.
I'm Safira M.
And I'm Mila Jam.
Blackness comes in all different shapes, forms, and sizes. Starting with Amber, I would like to talk about what is Blackness to you?
So Blackness to me is resilience. I feel like it's a resilience that we own and not many people know too much about unless you are Black. I feel like it's power, it's love, it's everything that we do. We're a hot commodity and we've always been a hot commodity, just Blackness.
Safira?
So many words come to mind when I think of Blackness, but one in particular is definitely the richness of our legacy and just like how we've endured so much over time.
Great word.
Yeah.
Mila.
Blackness to me is like a secret agency. I feel like we're this we have all of this knowledge and this underground perspective of so many different layers of people's experiences, raising other colors or other races' children, our own experience. I think we're always seeing life from so many different angles and having to navigate that with our own. So I feel like it's a secret agency that unless you know, you don't know.
Right.
You don't know unless you know.
That's it.
That is what it is.
Yeah. Secret society.
Yeah.
So, over the course of the last decade, cultural appropriation has been a very hot topic. For us as Black women, we see ourselves mocked with hairstyles, accessories, and even the way that we talk. Is it appreciation, or is it flattery, or is it just an insult to you as a woman to see yourself being mocked in that way?
I'll start. I think it's a bit of a mixture of both, and I think it depends on the situation. But I was just thinking about this today. I was like, it's so easy for them to love our bodies, but not us.
Right.
And that's something I feel like I deal with a lot. I think that you ladies probably deal with that a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's a mixed bag.
I definitely think that it's a mockery. 'Cause it's senseless and it's pointless. Or it's to get a rise out of people. So I think that's really why it gets done a lot. But I'm not ever in appreciation, or I'm not ever, they say, oh, flattery is the whatever the quote is.
Form
Yeah.
Appreciation.
Right.
I'm never flattered by that ever.
And I just feel like, unless you're paying homage to those women that you're mocking, you're not really doing a service to us as Black women. Why should we just feel appreciated or appreciative of what you're doing and you're not giving us any kind of credit for that? That's what I don't like about it.
And then also consider the things that we go through as women with our hair, right? Let's use that as the best example, because I feel like that is the prime example.
Right.
Our braids and our weaves and things like that have been used because we were told our natural hair
It's not okay.
is not good enough, right?
Right.
So over the course of the last decade, with the natural hair movement and even with protective styles and the way that we style our hair, we constantly face is this work appropriate? A lot of times, even with my hair color is less than a month old, but I'm like, is this too much for work?
Right.
Because you have to, it's different layers of how you navigate through the world as a Black woman. And one of those is, how do I fix my hair today?
But there's never a right answer.
It's never a right
never
answer.
right. Yeah,
right.
if you do left or go right, it's always an issue.
My thing is, how can you make a community trust you when you don't even know the people of that community? You don't even take time to learn names, no faces.
So another thing that has been really big over the last decade is Black activism, specifically around police violence. We saw the Black Lives Matter movement on the rise over the last decade, as well as several others. My biggest question is, how do we as a community, in our different communities, how do we repair the relationship with police officials? And is that relationship even repairable at this point? I'll start with Safira.
Okay. Yeah, I'm ready to go.
I honestly think that it can be repaired. I think what we hear a lot is that if the police in our communities were from our communities, it would definitely reflect more out in our community. Community.
Yeah.
But and I think that's like an age old wish for so many people, and especially me being born and raised in New York City, I've always heard that. So I've seen the differences in policing where there are policemen that were raised in, I'm from Southeast Queens originally. So there were policemen that were raised in that area that came back and they worked from precincts. But then there were also the men who are from Long Island or Staten Island, and they know nothing about these areas that
And
may
the
not
community around,
right.
yeah.
They may not necessarily be, just because they are Black neighborhoods, that doesn't mean that they're low income neighborhoods. That doesn't mean that it's the projects across the street. These are still middle class homes. These are still working families. These are still people who are producing children that go to school every day and have great education systems in those districts. Like, I feel like we deserve more than just anybody deserves to have the same respect from somebody who was born in your community.
Some of the police officers that have grown up in these neighborhoods and they come back and they become police officers for their neighborhood, I feel like their intentions are really good. Yes. Maybe not all of them, but most of them. So that's really powerful. But then, like, do we implement that as a rule, or is that a rule of thumb that you can't oversee a community that you're not from or that you're not part of? Because that's really what's important, is your connection to that and your will to wanting to protect that. But our view of protection is so distorted because we have no protection. There's no protection anywhere. So everywhere we go, we're always kind of like, we're always just fending, I think, for ourselves. And I don't know if it's repairable, but I think that there are ways to discuss this more often. I think there's ways to talk about it. And I don't have the answer, but I definitely feel like maybe a solution is like having people that we are in these communities with be a part of it specifically.
Yes.
Right.
Amber.
I feel like there's a major trust issue between the community and some of the police officers who are patrolling those areas. My thing is, how can you make a community trust you when you don't even know the people of that community? You don't even take time to learn names, no faces, but unless you're arresting them. So how can you expect a community to have that type of trust with you when we know, like, you're here to protect me and not just out to arrest me if you don't build that rapport with the people that you're policing?
Right.
Like, that's my biggest issue. We have police officers, just like Safira said, that's working in communities they know nothing about. They don't take time to know the people. They don't take time to just kind of know the lingo, and then you want them to trust you, but they don't know you.
Right.
So I feel like in order to kind of repair those relationships, you got to have like a genuine rapport with the people that you are policing.
Right.
In order to grow, and make that relationship meaningful.
And the Black community has to stop pretending that we don't exist. It's in the church. It's where we grow up, on the playground,
Okay, so it's about to get heavy.
Okay.
So I apologize in advance.
All right.
So in 2019, over 22 trans people were killed, with most of them being Black women. Cutting straight to the point, what do we do as cis straight people, as cis people in general? How do we become better allies for our Black LGBT brothers and sisters? And how do we better protect trans women so that they feel safe walking out the house at night?
I'm going to start.
Yes.
I would say that I don't think that we have enough value in our community. I love being Black. I love being myself. And I happen to be a trans woman who's Black. And I think what matters the most to me is being loved and valued. And I had those things growing up from my family. So that reflects on top of everything that I do. When you see me in a video or somewhere on TV or something, it's just because I feel like I've been supported.
Which you sing down. Side note.
Thank you. But I feel supported. And our community does not feel seen and does not feel supported. Especially with men of color.
Right.
Who tend to be a lot of our romantic partners. And I feel like there needs to be a sisterhood You know, and I always say that like CIS, sisterhood, and like whatnot with us, because we have so many parallels that we can share, and we have experiences that are just so alike, and there are nuances that are different, but I feel like we have so much value to offer to not only the world but our community. And the Black community has to stop pretending that we don't exist. It's in the church, it's where we grow up, on the playground. You know, I feel like we're always manipulated to assimilate again to things that are in our community that we've already assimilated up against from being Black.
Right.
So it's just a double dose of that, and I really hope that something like this that you're doing is gonna just keep propelling this conversation in the direction of a positive way, because what can we do more than anything else? We can talk about it,
Right.
and if you don't have an opinion on it, that's one thing. And I always say visibility is great, but there has to be physical, tangible action. If someone doesn't know a trans person, they're not going to get it. Right. You don't know a Black person, you're not going to get it. So when you have someone you're related to, or you come close to, you can actually feel that energy.
You know, I often tell people that Google is one of our greatest.
It's freer than us as Black people in America.
Hello. Like,
Yes.
and it's really
Education.
shameful that we put ourselves, in 2020, we put ourselves on social media without fact checking.
Oh yeah.
And I really feel like a part of, you know, like the whole conversation with transgendered, I really feel like if we educate ourselves, just take a minute to just educate yourself, whether you agree with their choices or not. If you're grounded in education, if you're grounded in facts, you can't go no wrong. Now it's on you to agree that's with a person's life choice or not. You don't have to, but you don't have to comment on it. But if you educate yourself and really learn about, you know, how the community works.
One more quick thing I wanted to add to, and I know I want you to hear what you have to say, but I also think that we have to recognize shame. There's so much shame in our community alone around the things that we are, the things that we do, the things we wear, the things that our hair are. So we have been dealing with shame collectively for centuries. And we've never been able to step out of our own shame of things that we are, trying to figure out. I think there's just another added layer of shame that goes with trans people, trans bodies, the differences within our bodies and our expressions and what we are and who we are. So we have to sort of work. I think we just have to work on our shame, and we have to get away from the shame. Like, I'm not ashamed of who I am. Right. I'm willing to be forthcoming and to stand grounded in that. But like, I need support, and it needs to be valued. Just like any person of color, any Black woman, any Black man, being like, don't shame me for my experience.
Right.
Yeah. For me, Black liberation is definitely continuing to push the envelope, doing it unapologetically, being comfortable in your skin.
So let's wrap it up with one big
Oh.
bow.
Okay.
I want everyone to describe, what does Black liberation in 2020 look like for you? Who wants to start?
I'll start.
Okay, Mila, go ahead.
I really think it looks free of shame. Yeah, shameless.
I like that. I think Black liberation is mixed for a couple of things for me. Taking accountability, really, really, really honing in on our spirituality and mental needs, and making this money.
Yes. For me, Black liberation is definitely continuing to push the envelope, doing it unapologetically, being comfortable in your skin, and just knowing that we are the prototype and we are the blueprint and we belong. We're here because we're supposed to be here, and just more innovation, just more, greatness coming from our people, because who else can do it like us?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Ladies, from the bottom of my heart, I truly want to thank you all for being here. It has been a very insightful conversation, one that I hope continues online and on social media. So for one last time, really quick, plug your socials. I did that wrong, right?
My name is Mila Jam. You can follow me on Instagram at the Mila Jam. I'm the only one. I'm your local Beyonce, and you can get all of my songs on iTunes, Apple Music, and Spotify.
And she sings down, y'all. I'm not playing.
My name's Safira M. You can follow me on Instagram at Safira M. Make sure to follow Sassland, Black Girl Pod, and a couple of more pages you can find on Safira M.
Yes. And I am Amber Corinne. You can follow me on Instagram at amber.corrine. You can also follow Backstage Chat and just keep up to date with what I'm doing. And that's it.
I'm Tatyana Jenene, and on behalf of Fuse, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.